The elite graduates of Tokyo University were slow to forego the safety and discomfort of Japanese corporations for the high drama of American investment banks, but they did. And before long, a style of capitalism had become one of America's leading cultural exports. It had all begun with seemingly dry and boring changes in technology, financial regulation, and levels of debt in America, but it ended with a revolution in everyday commercial behavior. The pieces collected in this book are mainly set in and around the new money culture. They all relate, in one way or another, to the marvelous commercial madness of the 1980s. I've ordered them geographically, with a section each on America, Europe, and Japan. I won't pretend they were written with the intention of hurting them between hardcovers, but I don't intend to apologize for them either. After all, this is how I make my living these days. Part 1. New World. In 1985, the average income of the 10 best-paid people on Wall Street rose from $29 million to $51 million, and everyone involved traded in his gold American Express card for platinum. One night early that year, Stephen Joseph, a partner of the now bankrupt Drexel Burnham, made what seemed to be a routine business trip to Minnesota. The only unusual thing about it was that he visited his client in his home and stayed late for drinks. In the course of the evening, Joseph happened to mention how much he expected to be paid. The number made an impression on the client's 7-year-old son, who was eavesdropping on the staircase. 2 days later, the boy handed his father an essay he had prepared for school. It was called What I Want to Be When I Grow Up, and almost perfectly captured the mood of the day. I want to be an investment banker. If you had 10,000 shares, I sell them for you. I make a lot of money. I will like my job very, very much. I will help people. I will be a millionaire. I will have a big house. It will be fun for me. While those words were being written, I was interviewing for jobs on Wall Street. I eventually landed at Salomon Brothers, where I occasionally help people, but more often help myself. In my spare time, I wrote. Several of the pieces included here were written in the evenings after a day spent in a training program in New York or on a trading floor in London. A daytime job was an enormous and perhaps unfair advantage for a writer. It enabled me to watch people when they didn't know they were being watched, and disabused me of any illusions I might have had about Wall Street or its leaders, who were my bosses. In my defense, I can only say that my bosses knew what I was doing all along. One even took it upon himself to read my pieces before they appeared in print. There was one exception. After the stock market crash of October 1987, I surreptitiously published an article entitled, When Bad Things Happen to Rich People. I used a female pseudonym, Diana Bleecker, mainly because I didn't want to be fired. I assumed that the rampant chauvinism of the Salomon Brothers traders would blind them to the possibility that a man might hide behind the name of a woman. I admit that while it was all very cowardly, I thought it was all very clever, as well as pleasing to my mother, since Diane Bleecker was the first 2 parts of her maiden name. It would have been even more clever and pleasing if I had spelled it correctly, and if the article, when it appeared, had not announced beneath the byline, Diana Bleecker is a pseudonym. Anyway, the piece contained a paragraph or 2 of criticism of Salomon's chairman and CEO John Gutfreund, as well as a few lines of description that could have come only from someone who had seen the Salomon Brothers trading floor. Skepticism about one's bosses, however well earned, is not universally appreciated, even in the upside-down world of an American investment bank. The day the article appeared, it was copied and distributed on our trading floor. Before long, I had several calls from traders who wanted to know if Diana Bleecker was me. Then something happened that I never expected. Instead of being angry or upset, John Gutfreund, give the man credit, was amused. He thought Diana Bleecker was funny. He thought she was so funny that he rose during a lunchtime meeting of Salomon's 109 managing directors and read aloud from her piece. Apparently, they didn't all find her equally amusing. A couple of days later, the managing director responsible for me flew the red-eye from New York to London. In itself, this wasn't unusual. He'd take the overnight flight every few months to check on us and maybe do a bit of shopping, but normally he'd nap in his hotel room for a couple of hours before he visited the office. This time, he came without the benefit of sleep. I recall that he looked as if he were running on amphetamines as he stormed through the office door. The man was troubled. That made 2 of us. He came straight to my desk, also unusual as protocol demanded he check in with the head of the office before hobnobbing with us grunts. He smiled his most disarming smile, and he said, "I would just like to know one thing. Did you write that article?"